Have you ever stopped and wondered about the strangest thing humans have ever tried to control? Not fire, not the oceans, not even the skies. Something far more mysterious.
Something that surrounds every moment of our lives, yet nobody has ever seen it.
Time. Every second that passes disappears forever. No king has ever been able to buy it. No scientist has ever been able to stop it. No empire has ever been powerful enough to defeat it. Yet for thousands of years, humanity has done something impossible. We have tried to capture time. We created machines to measure it.
We built entire civilizations around it.
We changed the way we work, travel, communicate, and even think because of it. But the greatest mystery is this. Why did humans become obsessed with measuring something that can never be controlled? The answer begins before clocks existed, before calendars, before written history. Back when humans lived under an open sky, and the universe itself was their only timekeeper. Imagine a world without a single clock. No alarm, no schedules, no digital numbers telling you the exact hour. A world where the rising sun was your morning signal, darkness meant rest, and the changing seasons determined survival. For early humans, time was not divided into minutes and seconds. It was experienced through nature. The sun marked. The moon guided the months.
The stars revealed patterns in the night sky.
The arrival of animals and the growth of plants told people when to move, hunt, and prepare for the future. Nature was humanity's first clock. But as humans began building communities, something changed. Life became more organized. Small groups became villages. Villages became cities. And suddenly, simply knowing that a new day had arrived was not enough. People needed answers. When should crops be planted? When would the floods come? When should ceremonies begin? When should armies move? A growing civilization needed something more precise. It needed a way to measure the invisible. And that search would change human history forever. One of the earliest breakthroughs came from something simple. A shadow. Ancient people noticed that when an object stood under sunlight, it created a shadow that slowly moved throughout the day. The movement was almost impossible to notice at first. But over time, the pattern became clear. The sun was moving across the sky, and the shadow was keeping track. Humanity had discovered one of its first time-measuring tools. the sundial.
Ancient civilizations such as Egypt and Babylon used observations of the sky to create systems for tracking time.
For the Egyptians, understanding time was connected to survival itself.
Their entire civilization depended on the Nile River. Every year, the river flooded and brought fertile soil that allowed agriculture to thrive. But knowing when that flood would arrive required careful observation of the heavens. The Egyptians studied the movement of stars and created calendars that helped them predict the rhythm of nature. But there was one major problem. The sun disappeared every night. A sundial could measure daylight. But what happened after sunset?
Humanity needed a clock that could continue working in darkness.
The answer came from another element of nature: water.
Ancient civilizations developed water clocks, devices that measured time through the steady movement of water, from one container to another.
It was a simple idea, but revolutionary. For the first time, humans created a system that did not depend completely on sunlight.
Time could continue being measured even when the world was dark.
The ancient Greeks used water clocks in courts to limit speeches. I must urge you to a person's argument could no longer continue forever. Therefore, the truth must prevail.
The water decided when their moment was finished.
A small invention had introduced a powerful... Time could be controlled. But the more humans measured time, the more important it became. Religious leaders used calendars to determine sacred events. Farmers depended on seasonal calculations. Governments needed schedules to organize societies. Time was slowly becoming the hidden structure behind civilization. Then came one of the biggest transformations in human history: the mechanical clock. During the medieval period, European inventors began creating clocks, powered by gears and weights. Unlike sundials and water clocks, mechanical clocks could operate independently. They did not need the sun. They did not need a person constantly watching them.
They simply continued counting.
At first, these clocks were enormous. They were built inside towers in cities and churches. But they were more than machines. They were symbols of power. A city with a clock tower was showing that it was organized and advanced. When the bell rang across the streets, thousands of people heard the same message.
Time had become something shared.
For centuries, people had lived according to nature. For centuries, people had lived according to nature. They woke with sunlight. They rested. Now, a machine was beginning to replace the natural. And this changed the way people. Before clocks, people simply lived through time. After clocks, they started arriving on time, working for specific hours, planning their futures around schedules. The clock was not just measuring time anymore. It was changing human behavior. But these early mechanical clocks had a serious weakness. They were inaccurate.
They could lose minutes.
Sometimes hours. And in a world that was becoming more connected, even small mistakes could create enormous problems, especially on the ocean. As European nations began exploring the world, sailors faced one of the greatest challenges in history: finding their exact position at sea. They could use the sun and stars to understand direction. But to calculate their location accurately, they needed something incredibly precise.
They needed a clock that could survive the ocean.
A clock that would continue working through waves, storms, and changing temperatures.
Because on the open sea, a small error in time could send a ship hundreds of kilometers away from its destination.
Entire expeditions depended on solving this problem.
And the race to build the perfect clock had begun.
The solution would come from inventors who spent their lives chasing accuracy. Among them was John Harrison, an English clockmaker who dedicated decades to creating a marine chronometer. His invention was designed to keep precise time even during long ocean.
When it finally succeeded, it transformed navigation.
Ships could travel farther. Maps became more accurate.
Global trade expanded.
Empires gained new power. A device created to measure seconds had changed the course of world history. But time was about to become even more powerful. Because the next revolution would not come from explorers. It would come from machines. The Industrial Revolution transformed the relationship between humans and time.
Factories required workers to arrive at exact moments.
Machines had to operate continuously. Production depended on schedules. The natural rhythm of life was replaced by the rhythm of the clock. For the first time, millions of people organized their lives around measured time. Every minute had value. Every delay had a cost. The phrase, "time is money,"
but the same clocks that created efficiency also created pressure.
Humans had spent thousands of years trying to control time. Now many people felt controlled by it. And the story was still far from over.
Because humanity had not reached the final stage of its journey, the clocks of the past measured time through shadows, water, and gears. But the future would require something completely different.
A clock so accurate that it would measure time using the smallest pieces, the atomic clock. And with it, humanity would discover something incredible.
The closer we came to mastering time,
the more we realized how mysterious it. The invention of the atomic clock changed everything. Time was now measured by atoms.
For thousands of years, people had looked toward the...
They followed the movement of the sun. They studied the stars.
They created calendars.
They built mechanical machines. But now, for the first time, humanity was no longer measuring time by looking at the world around them. They were measuring it by looking deep inside the smallest building blocks of nature. Atoms. An atomic clock works by using the incredibly consistent vibrations of atoms. Certain atoms, such as cesium, naturally oscillate at a precise frequency. Unlike mechanical gears that can slow down because of friction, unlike water that changes speed because of temperature, atoms follow the laws of nature with extraordinary consistency. In 1967, scientists officially redefined the second. It was based on the vibrations of the cesium-133 atom. The definition of time had changed forever. A second was no longer simply connected to the movement of Earth. It was connected to the behavior of the universe itself.
Humanity had moved from observing time
to measuring the fundamental heartbeat of reality. But the story of timekeeping was never only about making better clocks. It was about how those clocks transformed humans. Every major advancement in history depended on better ways of understanding time. Modern transportation, scientific discoveries, communication systems, financial markets. All of them rely on precise timing. A message traveling across the planet, a satellite finding its location, or a spacecraft navigating through space, all depend on incredibly accurate measurements of time. The invisible force that ancient humans once followed through sunlight and stars had become the foundation of the modern world.
But perhaps the most surprising discovery came when humans left Earth.
For centuries, people believed time was the same everywhere. A second was a second. A minute was a minute. But Albert Einstein's theory of relativity revealed something astonishing.
Time is not as simple as humans once.
It can change depending on speed and gravity. A person moving extremely fast experiences time differently from someone moving slowly. A clock closer to a massive gravitational force moves differently from one farther away. These differences are incredibly small, but modern technology has become so precise that even tiny changes matter. The satellites orbiting Earth that help power global navigation systems must account for these effects. Without correcting for differences in time, navigation errors would grow quickly. The same concept that once seemed like science fiction had become part of everyday life.
Time was no longer just something humans measured.
It had become something that shaped technology itself.
And yet, after all these discoveries, one question remains.
Have we really conquered time? Or have we simply created better tools for understanding something that has always been beyond our control? Because no matter how advanced our clocks become, time continues moving forward.
The most powerful rulers in history could not stop it.
The richest people alive cannot purchase more of it. The greatest civilizations eventually disappear into history.
But every single one of them shared the same limited
time.
Perhaps that is why humans have always been fascinated by it.
Because unlike gold, land, or power, time cannot be stored. It cannot be collected. It cannot be passed from one person to another. Every person receives the same mysterious gift, a limited number of moments. The history of timekeeping is therefore not only the story of clocks. It is the story of humanity's relationship with existence itself. From ancient people watching shadows move across the ground, to astronauts carrying atomic clocks beyond Earth, The journey of timekeeping reveals something profound. Humans have spent thousands of years trying to measure every passing second. But the true value of time was never found.
It was found in the moments we choose to create.
Every invention, every discovery, every empire, and every human achievement existed because someone decided to use their limited time to do something extraordinary. The clock can tell us when a moment arrives, but it cannot tell us what that moment means. That decision has always belonged to humanity.
And perhaps the greatest mystery of time is not how we measure it,
but how we choose to spend it.